Welcome to AnimeFan Narrations, Solo Leveling, Episode 7, Chapter 58, Part 1. If she saw him effortlessly defeating magical beasts with his shadows, it might fuel her misconceptions. Jinwoo and Han Songyi approached the gate. Unlike the A-ranker, some of the other hunters greeted them warmly.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Since the goal of this raid wasn't profit, having more people was welcome. They took turns introducing themselves. When it was the A-ranker's turn,
I'm good.
he turned and entered the gate first.
Let's go as well.
Baeko's new recruits followed him into the gate one by one. Han Songyi paused at the entrance and looked back at Jinwoo.
What about you, Ayusi?
Jinwoo crossed his arms and said,
I'll watch you go in first.
with a nervous but determined expression. The girl nodded and stepped inside. Jinwoo sighed quietly as he stood before the gate. When he turned around, he saw Kim Cheol waving and cheering him on. Jinwoo turned his attention back to the gate. Something felt off. The gate was shaking and quivering continuously.
A gate should remain still, like a black curtain, unless someone is passing through.
But now, despite no one entering or exiting, the gate was rippling as if disturbed. Something was definitely wrong. Jinwoo placed his hand on the gate. The surface felt sticky and began to crawl up his hand.
Wait, this is...
Jinwoo quickly turned his head and locked eyes with Kim Cheol. Kim Cheol also sensed that something was amiss. Jinwoo shouted at him.
Call your main hunters right now.
Before he could finish, Jinwoo was pulled into the gate.
What just happened?
The Deputy Hyun.
Kim Cheol rushed to the gate. The other three Baeko employees followed closely behind him. Standing in front of the gate, Kim Cheol was in a state of panic.
No, this can't be.
The hunters weren't the only new recruits. The employees behind him were also new hires. Naturally, they were bewildered by what was happening. They looked at Kim Cheol, eyes wide with fear.
The deputy! The gate is turning red!
Like a drop of blood spreading in water, the gate's surface quickly turned crimson. Ignoring the employees, Kim Cheol hastily made a call.
What is it, Gekiol?
Chief, it's a red gate. The new recruits just entered a red gate.
What?
An Sangmin's tone turned grave.
How is that possible? How did a red gate emerge from a C-rank gate?
Kim Cheol looked up at the now fully red gate. The rippling had ceased. He swallowed hard.
I don't know, but it's definitely a red gate.
What?
A red gate? How did this happen?
Baeko's guildmaster, Baek Yoonho, rushed to the scene as soon as he heard the news. Kim Cheol, overseeing the training, wore a grim expression.
That's...
Let me see.
Baek Yoonho moved past the employees, who were already imagining the worst, and approached the gate.
It really is a red gate.
Baek Yoonho's face tightened. Red gates were a terrifying anomaly that occasionally appeared in high-level gates. Instead of leading to a small, confined dungeon, they connected to an entirely different world with unique environments and life forms. Once a gate turned red, no one could enter or leave until the boss was defeated, or a dungeon break occurred, sealing it off completely from the outside. Baek Yoonho touched the gate. It was definitely sealed.
This is very bad.
There was nothing they could do. Unlike other emergencies, they couldn't provide any assistance to those inside. Baek Yoonho turned to Kim Cheol.
Wasn't this supposed to be a C-rank gate?
It was.
Did you confirm with the association?
We did, but they insisted it was a C-rank gate.
Those incompetent bastards!
Baek Yoonho cursed loudly. Red gates were supposed to be a phenomenon exclusive to high-level gates. Entering a red gate meant stepping into an entirely different world, and yet the association claimed the magical power emitted was only that of a C-rank gate? It was absurd. The gate before him had to be at least a B rank. If they were unlucky, it might be an A rank, or even worse. Meanwhile, the association had a reason for adamantly denying any mistakes.
Should we measure it with our own equipment?
Kim Cheol asked. Baek Yoonho shook his head.
No. Once a gate turns red, it stops emitting magic power. We can't measure it now.
This was why the association could deny everything. Once a gate became a red gate, remeasuring it was impossible, leaving no proof of their error. The gate's rank wasn't the immediate concern.
How many of our people went in?
12, sir.
How many high rankers?
A-rank Hunter Kim Cheol led the group, with 7 B-rank hunters below him.
1 A rank and 7 B ranks.
Do you think the recruits will be all right?
Baek Yoonho shook his head.
We should consider them lost. At best, the A rank and a few B ranks might survive.
That was if they were lucky. The team inside would struggle with the easiest B-rank dungeon. Anything tougher would be beyond their capabilities. Without a miracle, the chances of the new recruits returning were slim. Baek Yoonho's expression grew darker. Sensing the tension, Kim Cheol spoke hesitantly.
There are 2 others who went in with our recruits.
Baek Yoonho looked up. Did a high ranker join them out of curiosity? That could be the miracle they needed. Baek Yoonho's voice rose in hope.
Who was it?
He's the hunter I've been keeping an eye on.
The response came from the side. Both Kim Cheol and Baek Yoonho turned to see An Sangmin approaching. The division chief was sweating and out of breath.
Sorry for being late. There was some traffic.
Because he lived the farthest from the incident scene, An Sang-min arrived the latest. He glanced at the gate, a phenomenon resembling a doorway to another realm. Now an iron barrier that separated everyone from the other side. Just looking at it was enough to make an ordinary person feel suffocated.
But if it's Hunter Sung Jinwoo,
The man who had repeatedly overcome challenges, perhaps he could exceed everyone's expectations here. Baek Yoon-ho quickly walked up to An Sang-min.
Is he the hunter that Chief An had been eyeing?
Yes, sir.
Baek Yoon-ho recalled the office gossip.
Now that I think about it,
Lately, people had noticed Chief An rushing in and out of the office. As suspected, it was for recruiting a new hunter. The man's judgment was impeccable.
could it be...
Hope ignited within Baek Yoon-ho.
What rank is the hunter? A or maybe B?
It couldn't be S. Only 10 S-rank hunters had ever emerged in South Korea, and they all knew each other. But An Sang-min shook his head.
my god!
Baek Yoon-ho's tense expression softened immediately.
Are you saying an S-ranker went in with them?
An Sang-min responded calmly.
No, sir, he's an E-ranker.
Baek Yoon-ho looked as if he had swallowed something unpleasant. Jinwoo was astonished.
So this is the other world they talked about.
It was his first time seeing it in person, but Jinwoo had researched Red Gates online before. Everyone described it as being sucked in. Jinwoo agreed. When the gate seemingly grabbed his hand and pulled him in, he saw only darkness for a moment, feeling like he was sliding down a tunnel.
Holy!
When he opened his eyes, he found himself in a snowy forest.
Where are we?
This doesn't seem like a dungeon.
The gate has vanished.
The other hunters glanced around, barely concealing their panic. Amidst the chaos, Jinwoo surveyed the area with focused eyes.
I don't detect anything unusual.
Thanks to the system, even in this situation, he maintained his composure. The first thing he examined were the trees. Massive evergreens, impossibly tall for their country, dominated the landscape, their tops blanketed with snow. Lowering his gaze, he locked eyes with someone else. It was A-rank Hunter Kim Cheol, who was also scanning the surroundings. They exchanged a silent stare before looking away. Han Sung-yi approached Jinwoo, gently tugging on his sleeve.
Excuse me, did something go wrong?
Her eyes were filled with fear. The confidence she had shown earlier was completely gone. Suddenly, Jinwoo's hand shot up towards her face. Her eyes widened in surprise. The arrow Jinwoo caught trembled slightly, as if frustrated at missing its target. It had been aimed at Han Sung-yi's forehead. Realizing what had just happened, Han Sung-yi's face turned pale, but the scream that echoed didn't come from her. Blood poured from the hunter's mouth as he collapsed. An arrow lodged in his temple. A crimson blossom appeared on the snow as the hunters began to groan in fear. 2 arrows had been fired at them simultaneously. Because of this, most didn't notice Jinwoo catching the second arrow.
There, over there!
It was them.
A B-rank hunter pointed towards a faint figure atop a distant tree. Long before he pointed, Jinwoo and Kim Cheol were already looking in that direction. 2 figures stood atop the trees. Or rather, they definitely aren't human. White hair, skin as pale as snow, silver eyes, and their most distinctive feature, pointed ears. Due to their ethereal beauty and rarity in high-level dungeons, they were well known among magical creatures. Ice elves, also known as the White Walkers. Those who had never encountered them called them ice elves, but those who had faced them in combat referred to them as White Walkers. The reason was that a pretty name like elf didn't suit these beings. Jinwoo could understand why veteran hunters called these creatures White Walkers with such disdain.
They're mocking us.
The 2 elves had lowered their bows and were laughing derisively at the hunters. It was like they were deciding which dish to try first at a buffet.
This was your choice?
Jinwoo's gaze sharpened. 1 arrow landed to the right of the group, another to the left. The targets weren't chosen at random. The hunter who was killed by the arrow was a newly awakened C-ranker in his 30s. Aside from Han Sung-yi, he was the weakest in the group. And the other arrow was aimed at
Han Sung-yi.
The elves had singled out the 2 weakest members of their party.
If it weren't for the system, I would have been their other target.
Jinwoo was irritated by the White Walkers' strategic actions. Ensuring they noticed him, he held up the arrow and crushed it in his grip. Accepting the challenge, one of the White Walkers drew a finger across his throat. Even between humans and magical beasts, the gesture was universally understood. Jinwoo's lips curled into a smile. His eyes, however, were cold and menacing.
You! I'll kill you myself!
Jinwoo's gaze filled with icy fury at the magical beast's provocation. The White Walkers quickly vanished behind the trees.
I don't think they're here to make friends.
Kim Cheol finally spoke. As the only A-ranker in the group, all eyes turned to him. Technically, he was the leader of this raid.
I'm sure some of you have realized. This is a red gate.
Kim Cheol's tone was condescending, but no one dared to object.
That means no one will come for us until we're either dead or a dungeon break occurs.
Many of the hunters groaned in despair. Some had clung to the hope of rescue, and the revelation that no help would come crushed their spirits.
Thanks for watching Solo Leveling on AnimeFan Narrations. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for updates. Share your thoughts in the comments. See you next time.